Alright guys, we are back for another video, and today I'm going to do my predictions for the UFC 313 card. It's actually a pretty decent card. Not normally, but sometimes these cards are really bad, like UFC 312. If you haven't watched my video on that, go watch that. But this is actually a pretty decent card. There's a few good fights. I'm just going to give my predictions on these fights. Let's get straight into it. Alright, so first up we have Chris Gutierrez versus John Castaneda. Pretty similar records here, 21-6 for Gutierrez, 21-7 for Castaneda. But obviously we have seen Gutierrez go up against, I would say, better quality opponents. Obviously, he's fought people like Frankie Edgar, Pedro Munoz, Song Yadong. He even has a KO win over Frankie Edgar, which is a very, very good win. Obviously, Frankie Edgar was way out of his prime, but he's still a good win. John Castaneda, obviously, while he does have a similar record, he has never really fought anyone that good. To be honest, the only person I really recognize from this guy's record is Eddie Wineland. He had a TKO win over Eddie Wineland, but apart from that, yeah, not too much. But he did lose his last fight, and he last fought like basically a year ago, or almost a year ago. So I think you have to go Chris Gutierrez as well. I'm gonna go with Chris Gutierrez by decision. Next up, Jorgen Santos versus Ozzy Diaz. Jorgen Santos, 10-1 fighter, so decent record. He is also on a 5-fight winning streak. His last fight was on the Contender Series, and he won UD against Will Curry. But Osman Diaz, 9-3 record. He actually has fought in the UFC before, but he did lose that. It was against Ming Yang Zhang on the Yan vs Figueiredo fight night. So not too long ago, to be fair. He did actually fight quite recently, but yeah. If I had to pick one person to win here, I would have to go with Santos to get this one done, just by a UD probably. Next up, Myron Santos this time. Maybe these two are brothers. Myron Santos versus Francis Marshall. Myron Santos, you actually saw him quite a bit on the UFC embedded vlog series thing. Seems like a decent fighter. Obviously, last fight he fought against Khan Offley, where he actually knocked out Khan Offley, which is a pretty decent win. I mean, Khan Offley's a pretty decent fighter. 14-1 record for Myron Santos. If we look at Francis Marshall, 8-2 record. Similar ages here actually. Myron Santos is 24 and Francis is 25. Marshall, he won his last fight by split decision, but then lost the two before that. Yeah, I think you have to go Myron Santos here. I'm gonna probably just go UD as well. Next fight, Alex Morono versus Carlos Leal, the Mr. Juicehead himself. This guy is definitely on steroids, bro. If you just take one look at him, I think you can tell he's on steroids. Anyway, this one's a pretty easy one for me. I think it's gonna be an easy win for Carlos Leal. Alex Morono, obviously not a stranger to losses. 11 professional losses in his career, and yeah, he's lost his last two. And he's a very, very hit and miss fighter. He is decent. Like he's fought a lot of times within the UFC, and he's fought some decent people. He's got a few good wins, but yeah, recently he hasn't been looking amazing. And obviously, if we look at Carlos Leal, he had one fight within the UFC. I think he's only had one fight. Yeah, only one fight against Rinat Fakhretdinov. But I mean, if you watch that fight, he did lose to Rinat Fakhretdinov. But if you watch that fight, it was a robbery for sure. Carlos Leal definitely won that fight, and he looked very decent. So for that reason, I'm gonna go for Carlos Leal to get this one done. Could he get a KO here? He might be able to get a TKO here, but I think, a lot of these I think are going to be decisions, and I think this one's going to be another decision, to be honest. Next up, Bruno Ferreira versus Armen Petrosyan. Bruno Ferreira, 12-2. Obviously, he did lose his last fight against Abu Sufyan Magomedov. Obviously, Abbas Magomedov, he did get choked out by him on UFC 308, and he has also got knocked out by Nursultan Roziboyev. Those are two pretty decent fighters. But he does have some other decent wins. He's knocked out Gregory Rodriguez. He's got KOs over Phil Hawes, Stovsus. I don't know if that's how to pronounce it, but yeah, very decent fighter. Armen Petrosyan, obviously, he just got in that last fight. That was kind of embarrassing for him. He got double back fist KO'd by what's his name? The pirate guy, Sharapeta Magomedov. That's what it is. Yeah, I'm gonna go for Bruno Ferreira to get this one done, probably by KO. Next up, Joshua Van versus Ray Suruya. I think Joshua Van's got this in the bag, man. I mean, obviously Ray Suruya is undefeated, but Joshua Van, bit of a fan favorite at this point. Very young, 23 years old, but yeah, this guy always, every time he fights, he makes it interesting. Obviously, he got KO'd by Charles Johnson a while back, but since then he has got 2 wins over Cody Durden and Edgar Chairez. Ray Suruya, obviously, like I said before, he is undefeated, 10-0, and he's fought a few times within the UFC. I mean, I don't think he's actually ever fought in the actual UFC, apart from UFC 303, which was actually quite a long time ago, June of last year, so I guess almost a year, close to a year. Yeah, I think you have to go for Joshua Van to get this one done. I don't think it's going to be a finish just because, bro, these flyweight guys never get the finishes, but I think it will be a UD for Joshua Van. Next up, Curtis Blades versus Rizvan Kuniev. Bro, I'm surprised that Curtis Blades took this fight. Bro, if I was a number 5 ranked heavyweight in the world and, have fought some of the best in the world, bro, it's kind of like an insult to give him some random debutant. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is. Curtis Blades versus Rizvan Kuniev. He's not even on the main card, bro. He's a headliner of the prelims, which is kind of crazy. Obviously, we know about Curtis Blades. He fought against Tom Aspinall for the interim in his last fight. Obviously, he got knocked out first round, but it is what it is. It's Tom Aspinall at the end of the day. Before that, he had a good win, a good KO over Jelton Almeida. Yeah, and this guy's fought everyone. He fought Sergey Pavlovich, Rosenstruik, Lewis, Volkov, JDS. He's fought so many people. Kuniev, 12-2. Obviously, he's never fought within the UFC before. Yeah, man, I don't see a high chance that this guy wins. He's on a long win streak, but outside of the UFC, I don't know if it counts that much. Yeah. He has actually fought Renan Ferreira, who is the guy who just fought Ngannou. But yeah, I think you have to go for Curtis Blades here. Surely you have to go for Curtis Blades to get this one done. I'm gonna go by KO. I would say KO for Curtis Blades. Alright, now we're getting into the good fights. King Green, I don't apply as crazy to Bobby Green versus Mauricio Ruffi. Obviously, you guys know I'm a big fan of Mauricio Ruffi. Bobby Green, I'm a big fan of both these guys, actually. These guys are both, I like them both a lot. But to be honest, I'm going to go for Ruffi here. Bobby Green, first of all, he's getting up there in age. He's lost a lot of times. He's got he got 32 wins and 16 losses, so not exactly an amazing ratio. Obviously, he got slept by Paddy Pimblett in his last fight. He's got some decent wins. Like, he put a clinic on Jim Miller at UFC 300. He also KO Grant Dawson, which is a very good win. Submitted Tony Ferguson. He's got some decent wins here and there. He's fought a lot of different people. But yeah, he's got some a lot of losses. Mauricio Ruffi, he just debuted last year within the UFC. He's had 2 fights in the UFC. Last fight against Lontop, which was a UD, and before that he got a TKO over Jamie Malarkey. A very good performance from Ruffi, and I think he's just way too clean to get beaten by Bobby Green. Bobby Green is very quick for his age, to be fair. I'll give it to him, and for his age, I think he's one of the best fighters, relative to obviously weight division. But yeah, Mauricio Ruffi, I think he's got this one in the bag. Do I think he'll finish King Green? I don't think he'll finish Bobby Green, bro. Like, Bobby Green is a very tough fighter. I think Mauricio Ruffi, either he submits him, which I don't think he will, or he'll just get a UD. So yeah, definitely Mauricio Ruffi for the win here. Yeah, I've just realised I forgot to do Lemos versus Lucindo. For the record, I think Lemos is winning that fight. But yeah, anyway, next one, Turner versus Ignacio Bahamondes. Ignacio Bahamondes. Jalen Turner, obviously number 13 ranked, 14-8 record, not an amazing record, but he has fought a lot of decent people. Obviously got a very, very good win over Bobby Green. But yeah, he's lost to a lot of the best. He lost to Gamrot, he lost to Dan Hooker, and he just got finished by Renato Moicano at UFC 300. He's been out for a while as well. but he's fought a decent amount of times. He was on a long win streak before he lost to Gamrot. Bahamondes, I think these two guys are some of the tallest within the division as well. 6'3" for Jalen Turner, and then Ignacio Bahamondes is like 6'1" or something like that. But yeah, Bahamondes, he's on a nice little win streak. Well, 2 fights, but yeah, he's got a lot of KOs actually. To be fair, I think I'm gonna go with Ignacio Bahamondes to get this done by TKO over Jalen Turner. Okay, the co-main event now: Justin Gaethje versus Rafael Fiziev. Obviously, this was originally supposed to be Justin Gaethje versus Dan Hooker. Dan Hooker had to pull out due to an injury, and now Fiziev is stepping in on short notice. I didn't even clock. Rafael Fiziev is number 11 ranked. I thought he was higher than that, but yeah. Gaethje 25-5 record. Obviously, we all know what happened in his last fight. He got slept in the last second of the fight against Max Holloway for the BMF title. Before that, he was on a decent little win streak. I mean, he KO'd Dustin Poirier. He actually had a win over Fiziev. So this is a rematch. I forgot to say that. But yeah, I mean, he's had some decent wins. He's got some very, very good power. A very brutal fighter. Same for Rafael Fiziev. He's a very striking heavy fighter from Kazakhstan, I think. Yeah, very, very striking heavy. He has lost his last 2 fights though. So he lost to Gamrot via knee injury, and then Gaethje via majority decision. But yeah, he's a very, very clean striker. He gets a lot of KOs. He knocked out Renato Moicano. Oh my days, bro! He absolutely decimated Renato Moicano. I remember seeing that on TikTok. I was just shocked what I was seeing, bro. Obviously, he KO'd Brad Riddell, KO'd Rafael Dos Anjos. But yeah, overall, obviously Rafael Fiziev, he hasn't fought since September of 2023, so over a year and a half probably. And he has lost his last 2 fights, and one of them was obviously to Gaethje. I think just a layoff and 2 weeks notice, that's not that much. Gaethje, we obviously know he's a good fighter. Unless his chin is like very, very compromised, I don't see him losing here. So even though I do want Fiziev to win, I think you have to go for Gaethje. I think via decision again. I think it's going to be similar to the first fight. Yeah, I'm going to have to go with Gaethje here via UD. And of course, finally, the light heavyweight title bout main event between Alex Pereira and Mohamed Ankalaev. Okay, so this will be interesting. Obviously, we wanted to see this fight for a long time. I think Ankalaev has deserved the title shot for a long time. Bro, we know about Pereira, man. This guy, he's on 3 defenses right now. I think this will be his 4th if he does successfully defend. He's getting up there in age, obviously 37, but that hasn't really seemed to be a hindrance in his past fights. Obviously 12-2 record. He's on a 5-fight win streak. Obviously after when he went up to light heavyweight, he's just been on a roll right now. Last 4 fights all ended in finish. Yeah. This guy, he's on a full training camp, and Ankalaev, he has a few disadvantages here. First of all, obviously it's Ramadan, he's fasting. I know he's saying that he has to break his fast earlier than usual, but still, bro, if you're fasting, it's gonna affect your training camp no matter what, right? He's on a long win streak. He's undefeated. Well, not a long win streak, like undefeated streak since 2018, but he leaves himself very open. He's very susceptible to right hooks, or just he leaves himself quite open, and I think Alex Pereira will take advantage of that. Also, I think that his cardio might be compromised a little bit. I guess we'll see. I think, look, also, yeah, wait, I almost forgot to say, he does leave himself open to leg kicks a lot. We know Alex Pereira is very good at, those low leg kicks, and he does it a lot. And, all you have to do is watch the Blachowicz versus Ankalaev fight. Ankalaev's legs were getting pieced up, right? But here's the main thing about Ankalaev. Yeah, this guy, I don't know what it is, but recently he's just refused to wrestle. Like, I don't think he's wrestled in, since the Blachowicz fight in 2022. Yeah, man. You know, this guy literally does not wrestle anymore. To be fair, he has got a UD over Rakic whilst only striking, which is a decent win. But you know, this is the problem with all these light heavyweights. They've got too much ego. They think, oh yeah, you know what? Although all these other guys have been getting knocked out by Pereira, I'm gonna be the one that, you know, doesn't get knocked the hell out by Pereira, which is just not true, right? Obviously, if you stand with Pereira long enough, you're gonna get, you know, knocked out or finished or damaged. We saw that in the Khalil Roundtree fight, where Khalil, you know, the first two rounds, you know, he took off Pereira, but then obviously in that fourth round, he just got decimated by Pereira. So yeah, I mean, overall, I think, you know, Ankalaev, if he does wrestle, I think he has a decent chance, but I don't think he's going to wrestle. That's the problem. I hope his coaches are telling him that he needs to wrestle. Hopefully he does, and hopefully he doesn't get knocked out. But yeah, I think I'm going to go with Alex Pereira here by knockout. You know, do I think Ankalaev as a champion would be good? No, to be honest. I think Pereira as a champion is better, but I think he does deserve the title shot, and I do think he's capable of winning the title if he just does what he needs to do, what he's good at, and not do, you know, something stupid by, you know, striking with Pereira. He's not exactly the best. To be fair, I will say this: he's not exactly the best at the submission game. Ankalaev's got 0 career wins by submission, which when I saw that, I was just like, I didn't believe it, because this guy, you know, he's known for being a good wrestler, but he's never actually got a win by submission, only by KOs and TKOs and stuff like that, and decisions, obviously. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Pereira by TKO in this fight, and yeah, that's about it. So there it is, guys, my overall predictions for this fight card. You guys let me know in the comment section down below if you agree or disagree with my takes, and yeah, comment, like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Safe.